Let's take this parajumble question. This question is one of the CAT questions. It says here that four sentences are given to us and we have to arrange these sentences to form a coherent paragraph. So the first thing that we do usually is we start looking for certain clues using which we can connect the sentences. For example, one of the most frequently used clues is the pronoun. So for example, if you look at the sentence number 3, it says this would require legislation. So what would require legislation? This question we have to answer, and there is something that comes before 3, and to that it refers this would require legislation. So sentence number 1 says from chemical pollutants in the environment to the damaging of rivers, sorry, to the damming of rivers. So from chemical pollutants in the environment to the damming of rivers to invasive species transported through global trade and travel, every environmental issue is different and there is no single tech solution that can solve this crisis. So there is some sort of environmental issue and the author says that there are environmental issues are different and no single tech solution can solve this problem. Clearly, our environment crisis requires large political solutions, not minor. So, if you see a connection, then there is a movement of idea from 1 to 4. Correct? How do you see that now? The author says that from chemical pollutants in the environment to the damming of rivers to this and that, every environmental issue is different, and there is no single tech solution. There is no single tech solution. So, if there is no single tech solution, then what is the solution? That is the point we have to understand. And if there is no single tech solution, then the author gives the solution by saying clearly our environmental crisis requires large political solutions, not minor technological ones. So he says there is no single tech solution. Therefore, so clearly is also a sort of concluding idea. Understand this. A conclusion that you derive on the basis of something else. So it says here that from this to that, every environmental issue is different, and our environmental crisis requires large scale political solutions, not minor technological ones. So instead of focusing on infinite growth, we could consider a path of stable state economies while preserving markets and healthy competition. So it says that you need political solution. Now, how do you create political solution? That means politics has to be involved. So technological solution won't work. We need some sort of large political solution. And what can that be? That is basically legislation. So what happens in legislation? You basically pass laws. And who passes laws? Laws are passed in the parliament by politicians. So when you say that we need large political solutions, this is what we need. This would require legislation that recognizes the rights of future generations and other species, that allows the judiciary to uphold a much higher standard of environmental protection than currently possible. So here you are involving legislation, you are getting the judiciary into rule, and this is precisely what we mean by large political solutions. So from 1 you go to 4, you go to 3. This is the sequence definitely there. So 2 will come either at the start or towards the end. And if you look at 2, it says discourse on the threat of environmental collapse revolves around cutting down emissions, but biodiversity loss and ecosystem collapse are caused by myriad and diverse reasons. There are myriads and diverse reasons. What are those reasons? Those reasons are chemical pollutants, damming of rivers, transport to invasive species. So these are causes apart from what the author says as emissions. So emissions is one thing, but he says that biodiversity loss is because of many more diverse reasons. And what are those reasons? They are given in 1. And therefore 2143 is the right sequence. A good question, moderate, can be done around easy type, but long sentences. These are the kind of questions that if you read intelligently, you can get the questions correct. 2143 is the right sequence.